The greatest abuse of a country that I think I've ever seen financially, China. What they've done to us is the greatest single theft in the history of the world. They've taken our jobs, they've taken our money, they've taken everything. We're bringing our jobs back, folks. We're bringing our jobs back.
That was from last month, the night of the South Carolina primary, when Donald Trump riffing on one of his favorite targets. But it turns out that a Trump-branded tower in New Jersey is being funded largely by a government program that allows foreign investors, mostly from China, to skip ahead in the immigration line and get a visa in return for investment. It's totally legal, although if you spend your days and nights railing against China, it could be a political problem. Joining us now on our New York set with the details of this story, Bloomberg's investigative reporter, Jesse Drucker. So Jesse, first of all, explain this program, this visa program called EB-5 and how it works.
So the way it works is if you have $500,000 and you're seeking a green card, the U.S. has a program where for qualifying development projects, if you're willing to put $500,000 into the project, you can get a 2-year visa that if kind of everything works out with the project, you will end up getting what amounts to basically permanent residency for you and your family. And what has happened, the program's actually been around for around 25 years. It's really started to take off in probably the last 5 or 6 years, and developers love it because it's turned into basically a cheap form of financing for high-end real estate developments, because the applicants, the folks that want the visa that are putting up $500,000, aren't really that interested in getting a return. They just want to get the green card. And so what's happened in the last few years is the government has given out tens of thousands of visas through this program. And in the last few years, it's overwhelmingly to people from China. Last year, the government gave out just over 10,000 visas, and 85% of them were to people from China.
All right, so this EB-5 program is being used in connection with a Trump project in Jersey. Tell us about the project and the extent to which this program is being used for.
So a few years ago, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, a developer licensed the Trump name and built a high-rise luxury condominium development called Trump Plaza Residence there in Jersey City. It's right on the water. It has incredible views of Lower Manhattan. And 2 years ago, Jared Kushner, who is the CEO of Kushner Companies and is married to Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka, announced that they would essentially be building the sister property, a nearly identical 50-story tower that will actually be luxury rentals. And this is going to be called Trump Bay Street. Now, typically, Donald Trump for the last 25 years, has actually developed and built very few buildings. He has built some, but for the most part, his real estate business is a business of licensing his name to other developers. This is some version of that. We don't exactly know what the financial arrangement is between him and his son-in-law, but his son-in-law is using the Trump name on the building that he is building. The financing for the project, a quarter of the financing, about $50 million, is coming from the EB-5 visa program. In other words, the Kushner team went out and found 100 people, I believe they are almost entirely from China, who each put in $500,000 and essentially provided $50 million in loans to help build this building.
So you said, I think you just said it's about a quarter of the financing of the building. Given the politics of it, why take the money from China? Is this the only place that this project can find enough investment to build?
Well, that's a really interesting question. I mean, I think one of the reasons that the program is very popular is because it's basically free money. The investors don't really want a return on their investment. They want the green card. And so where you might have to borrow from a bank for 6% or 8% or 10%, with these investors, you can essentially give them no return. So essentially, it's like getting a quarter of your financing for no return. Now, the reason the program is of interest is both the Department of Homeland Security and the GAO have raised questions and concerns about the inadequacy of the screening process for figuring out where this money is from. And there are concerns that the program enables money laundering and could jeopardize national security. And 2 years ago, I believe, there was an internal Department of Homeland Security memo that Senator Charles Grassley read on the Senate floor that raised these very questions. Just a few months ago, the GAO followed up with another report raising similar questions.
But just because we got to go in a second, we said in the beginning there's nothing illegal, obviously, about this program. And although the optics from a political point of view might be bad, Trump could argue, right, this is just good business. He's getting investment for a project with his son-in-law that doesn't require anything much from them and doesn't have to pay the same rate of return as a normal investor.
That's true. He's raising money through a government program that basically all government overseers view as very troubled and could be enabling a lot of dirty money to enter the country.